The courtroom fell silent, waiting for the verdict to drop. Jake Thompson, a former cop, was accused of a heinous crime, assaulting his 18-year-old girlfriend, Mia, and burning her alive in the woods. Everyone was sure he'd face the death penalty. The judge didn't waste time with extra questions. "Last wish," he asked, his voice ice-cold. Jake, showing no remorse or fear, had just one request: "Let me see my dog, Rusty." People thought it was just a killer's final whim, remembering his pet as his life hung by a thread. But they were wrong. Something wild happened. Rusty, Jake's loyal sidekick, brought the truth with him. A secret hidden in the woods, proof that didn't need words but spoke through loyalty. This isn't just a crime story. It's a fight for innocence, loyalty, and justice that no law could dim. Stick around to the end, because the twist will hit you hard. Jake Thompson, a tough-looking ex-cop with a guarded heart, lived solo in a small cabin on the edge of Pinewood Forest, a chilly spot locals called Frost Hollow. His only companion? Rusty, a quiet, loyal dog he'd raised from a pup. Jake's life was low-key and lonely. He retired after years on the force, carrying scars from old cases and lost buddies. The forest was his only vibe, its cold winds keeping him company. But everything flipped a few weeks back when Mia, a girl he met during his cop days, came back into his life. Their relationship was messy. Passion turned into heated arguments. Mia always said Jake was too closed off, but he couldn't help it. He was used to solitude and discipline, yet his love for Mia pushed him to try. Their last texts were tense. Mia wrote, "You'll never get me." Jake, desperate to hold on, replied, "It'd suck if you bailed on me." Then she vanished. Jake's gut screamed something was wrong. He called her, but her phone was off. He scoured the woods, finding nothing. Days later, the cops found a burned body in the forest. DNA confirmed it was Mia. Jake's heart sank with grief and fear. What happened? Why was she out there, burned beyond recognition? It looked like a brutal crime, and Jake was caught in the nightmare. But what if it's not that simple? What if the case isn't as clear-cut as it seems? And why did Rusty start acting weird after Mia disappeared? Days after Mia's body was found, the investigation went into overdrive. Mia's dad, Mike Carter, couldn't process it. His daughter was gone, and his suspicions grew sharper. He couldn't believe Jake was involved, but his heart demanded answers. He went to the cops, pointing the finger at Jake. Detective Ryan Holt, known for his no-nonsense approach, took the case. Evidence piled up fast. Texts from Jake's phone showed heated words to Mia before she vanished. They sounded like threats. Worse, a gun was found near the crime scene, linked to the murder. Jake had been hunting in the woods that day, and tracks pointed to him. The evidence was airtight. Jake was the prime suspect. With that kind of proof, the case seemed open and shut, and Holt brought it to court with confidence. Judge Ethan Brooks sat stone-faced in the courtroom. The air was heavy. Mia's parents, Jake's old colleagues, and onlookers watched with bated breath. When the judge delivered the verdict, his words hit like a sledgehammer. "Jake Thompson, you're sentenced to death." The room buzzed. It felt final. But one detail nagged at everyone: Jake's dog, Rusty. Jake sat in his cell, knowing his time was short. Despite his pleas of innocence, the world had judged him. His only shot was a miracle. Time crawled, and his thoughts blurred. But one thing was clear: he needed to see Rusty one last time. He begged for his dog as his final wish. The guards thought it was just desperation, but for Jake, Rusty was more than a pet. He was his only true homie. In Rusty's eyes, Jake saw loyalty, understanding, and love, stuff he couldn't find in people. He believed that meeting could be more than a goodbye. It could be his shot at redemption. When the cell door opened, a guard walked in with Rusty trailing behind. The dog bolted to Jake, jumping into his lap, licking his hands. Jake ran his fingers through Rusty's fur, his heart heavy. "Rusty, I didn't do it," he whispered. "If you can do something, do it. I know you've got my back." Dogs don't get words, but they feel vibes. Rusty sensed Jake's pain and pulled away, eyes locked on the door. Suddenly, he darted out, racing down the hall. Guards tried to stop him, but Rusty was too quick, a shadow in the night. When the door slammed shut, silence fell. Jake knew Rusty wouldn't just bounce. He stared into the dark, hope flickering, and closed his eyes, lost in memories of better days. Rusty tore through streets, backyards, and into Pinewood Forest. The cold night, a raging storm. None of it fazed him. The woods were his and Jake's playground. Despite the blizzard, Rusty stayed locked in. He couldn't let his boy go down like that. The storm was just part of the mission. Pushing through thick brush and leaping over fallen logs, Rusty moved like he was guided by some unseen light. He had one goal: find the truth. His nose and heart were locked on it, racing against time. As the storm eased, Rusty caught a strange scent, something off in the woods. It was a spot he knew, where hunters roamed. He sniffed out a bottle with used condoms. Random, but the scent was familiar. Then he found something bigger, a memory card. Rusty grabbed it gently in his teeth, knowing it could be the key to saving Jake. He retraced his steps through the storm, clutching the card. It wasn't just a physical grind, it was a test of heart. Rusty felt the weight of that memory card and knew it was clutch. Morning broke, foggy and cold in Frost Hollow, but for Jake, it felt different. In his cell, he sensed something big was coming. Rusty, his ride or die, wouldn't quit. Jake couldn't picture how, but he trusted Rusty would find a way. Meanwhile, in town, Judge Ethan got a shock. Rusty was barking like crazy by his car, guarding it like it held secrets. Dogs don't usually act this wild, especially in a controlled spot like that. What the hell? Ethan muttered, stepping out. He yelled for a guard to grab the dog. Rusty backed off but then bolted toward the woods, still barking. Ethan, confused, followed. Rusty was on a mission. Word reached Jake, and his heart raced. He told a guard to tell the judge. Rusty had found something that could flip the case. Minutes later, Ethan, Detective Holt, and a crew of 5 cops trailed Rusty into the woods. It was like a surreal quest, every step heavy with purpose. Rusty stopped at a hidden path deep in the forest, eyes blazing, waiting for them to catch up. "This is it," Jake's words echoed through a guard. "He's showing you where the truth is." Rusty circled back, then led them forward. His paws crunched in the snow, like nature itself was watching. They reached the spot where evidence was first found. There, buried in the brush, were items overlooked before. Rusty knew exactly where to go. Holt's eyes widened as he picked up the memory card and bottle. "This can't be real," he said, showing the team. "This points to someone else, not Jake." Ethan, skeptical at first, started to see he might have jumped the gun. Jake Thompson might not be the monster they thought. The group realized they were on the edge of a massive case breaker. "It's wild," Ethan said, staring at the evidence. "This could change everything." Questions swirled about who really killed Mia. Jake wasn't the villain. Rusty, his loyal dog, proved it. The case hinged on that memory card and what it held. The twist wasn't just shocking, it was mind-blowing. When Rusty returned with the evidence, Jake's fate shifted, but what came next was unreal. The justice system nearly fumbled big time. The condoms went to the lab, and the results were insane. DNA wasn't Jake's. It was the first crack in the case against him. Then the memory card dropped the real bomb. Rusty didn't just find evidence, he led them to a video that flipped everything. The footage was brutal, nothing anyone expected. Mia and 2 other girls, strangers to Jake, were assaulted and burned by a biker gang. Clear shots showed faces and tattoos, easy to ID. The main players? Vince and Slade, 2 notorious local thugs known for their ruthlessness. Mia, caught in the wrong place, was their victim. The video showed not just the crime but the gang laughing, reveling in it. It was pure evil. Mike Carter, Mia's dad, watched the footage, his heart shattered. His daughter's life was stolen by monsters he never suspected. Pain and rage twisted his face. "How could I blame Jake?" he whispered in court as the video ended. He'd accused an innocent man. Judge Ethan, who'd been so sure of Jake's guilt, faced a new horror. He saw the truth with his own eyes. No evidence could match that shock. As a pro, he knew mistakes happened, but not like this. This was a tragedy that almost cost a man his life. Ethan stood, his face tight, and looked at Jake. "Jake Thompson, you're cleared," he said, his voice heavy, like a judgment on the system itself. Jake could barely process it. After all he'd been through, it felt unreal. He was free, stepping back into a world that had branded him a killer. His eyes found Rusty, still by his side. That moment hit deep. Jake walked to his dog, petting him, unable to speak. Mike Carter watched, torn by grief, but relieved. Justice was served, but at a cost. He'd lost his daughter, but now he could start healing, knowing the real culprits would pay. This wasn't just a fight for freedom, it was a wake-up call about how easy it is to misjudge and how hard you gotta grind for truth. Jake's life changed. He wasn't the accused anymore, he was proof justice could work. But one step remained: catching the real killers. Cops tracked Vince and Slade to a sketchy garage on the city's edge. They tried to dip, but got nabbed quick. No escape. In court, they didn't even fake remorse. "Yeah, I did it," Vince said, cold as ice. "We killed those girls." Mia fought back, but she was just another target. Slade nodded, backing him up. The judge's anger boiled. These crimes were unforgivable. "Death penalty," Ethan declared, his voice steady but fierce. The room felt it. Justice landed hard. For Jake, it wasn't a win. It was bitter. He'd lost Mia, his rep, his peace. Even cleared, his soul was heavy. He hugged Rusty, tears falling. "You saved me," he whispered. Rusty stayed close, loyal as ever. Mike Carter watched, knowing the killers were done, but his pain wouldn't fade. Jake and Rusty moved to a quiet rural town, far from the chaos. There, they found peace. No more accusations, just calm. One evening, by the window of his small house, Jake pet Rusty and said, "You gave me my life back, bud." His voice was soft, full of gratitude. Rusty snuggled close, head on Jake's shoulder, a silent bond where words weren't needed. The sunset painted the sky warm, a sign of hope. Jake felt ready to move forward, with Rusty by his side, facing whatever came next. Y'all believe loyalty always wins? If so, smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more real, heartfelt stories. Don't miss out. True strength lies in loyalty and love. Catch you next time.